The marquee tools in Photoshop are just tools that help you make different types of selections. There's 4 different kinds. We got the rectangular, elliptical, you got single row marquee, and single column marquee. I'm just going to show all these in the same video because they all make selections and they all have the same options up here at the top. So first one, obviously rectangular marquee. All it does is make a rectangular selection. If you don't have an active selection and you hold shift and click and drag, it makes a perfect square. If you hold alt and click and drag, it makes a rectangle from the center point that you clicked on. If you hold both together, it makes a perfect square from the center point. Alright, and it's the same for the elliptical marquee too. If you have one active selection already, if you hold shift, it adds to that selection. Right? If you hold alt, it subtracts from the selection. So next we got the elliptical marquee. Same thing, except for it just makes circles. Hold shift while you already have an active selection. It adds to that selection. If you hold alt, it subtracts from it. After that, we got the single row and single column marquee. Single row is just a horizontal row of pixels. If you zoom in, you can see it's only one row of pixels it selects. And column is just the vertical version of that. Right? It just takes one column of pixels. Now, I haven't found a use for these yet. Some people might have a use for it, but I've never used them. But it's got the same concept as the other ones. If you hold shift, you can add them. If you hold alt, you can subtract. Alright guys, so the top options up here, like I said, it's the same for all 4 marquee tools. But first, we got the presets. After that, we got selection options. And the first one is new selection. That's what it's going to be set to by default. I already showed you guys some shortcuts on how to add and subtract from a selection by holding shift and alt. But you can do it from up here too. If you click this, it adds to it. And if you click this, it subtracts from it. And this last one, it just keeps what you intersect. So it only keeps the intersecting areas in the selection. Next we got feather, and all this does is it softens the edges of the selection. Same with anti-alias, it just smooths the edge transitions and makes it softer around the edges. After that we got style. This sets how the marquee tool draws, so normal, fixed ratio, or fixed size. Probably just leave it on normal. I've never really had to switch it. After that, there's a width and a height option, and you can set the selection by pixels. And last but not least, if you have a selection, you can click select and mask, and it brings you to the select and mask window. Now there's a lot to go over in this window. I'm going to make a whole video breaking every single thing down. I'll leave a link to it in the description if you want to check that out. But the quick version explaining this is it just helps you refine your selection. Now you got a bunch of tools on the left you can work with. You got some selection options also. You got select subject and refine hair. Then over here on the right hand side, you got 7 different view modes. It's just a different way to visualize your selection. Then you got presets. You can remember these settings for every time when you open up this window. Then you got your refine mode. You can choose between color aware and object aware. Then this section is a bunch of sliders. You got the radius. Then you got smooth, feather, contrast, and shift edge. And these sliders right here help you get a really good selection. When you're all done refining it, you can output it to an actual active selection, a layer mask, a new separate layer, a new layer with a layer mask, a whole new Photoshop document, or a new Photoshop document with a layer mask added to it. But with all that, that breaks down all the marquee tools in Photoshop. If you guys have any questions or comments, make sure to put them in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.